again from the Green headquarters in Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you all for coming. Some new people, that's good. We like that. This is also beamed out live, so you can watch this at home. You don't have to fight the traffic every week. We always like to say, you don't ever have to miss a meeting with Green. Anyway.
We like it when they fight the traffic.
Oh, and Larry comes in and bitches about the traffic. And of course, these are always recorded, so if you ever wanted to watch Paul again, give his lecture because you missed it. It's on the website under archives. You can pull this back up again. It's always free. Watch it anytime. Man, you alright now?
Yes.
You want me to help you to sit somewhere?
I feel weird.
You want to sit up here?
No, no.
Okay.
He wants to see your good look.
No, he signs up, he gets nothing.
Oh my God, why would you say that?
He's signing up today.
I've been signing up the last time I came here, but I know we need to find
you're going to bring, if you bring us some more money,
Free t-shirt.
you get a free t-shirt. You get a nice groundhog t-shirt.
I always like that. I always liked your logo.
My kids were here.
You're in, you get one. Right? You sign?
He hasn't signed it yet, but I'm gonna
Give it back. We trust him.
Jeff's in.
Jeff's in. He's a regular, so he's a large size. That's good. Anyway, I'm not going to do a whole lot because Holy sucks all the air out when he talks, and I'm just going to leave the show to Paul. It's getting him off the stage is our problem.
I'll try to keep it. I just like to share, you know.
Share.
Are you going to tell them what I'm talking about?
Paul Kazanofski.
Hey, that's a good problem to have.
He's going to talk about how to budget a job, right? We're going to do
About budgets.
We're actually going to take him out and we're going to film him doing this budget. Take him to a property a little later on, maybe next week, and we'll actually film him walking around the job and talk to us about budgets. But today he's just going to give us an overlay of how do you do it. Paul Kazanofski.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, buddy. Well, anyway, everybody always asks me, what are you going to talk about and stuff? They'll throw me a subject, and for those of you guys who don't know me, I've done 306 houses, bought, fixed up, fixed, and sold. So, you know, I mean, I know what I'm talking about. And that's enough about me. I'm not going to go into my whole story, how I got into it, where I come from, because that's been documented somewhere else in one of my other speaking. But I want to talk about budgets and how important it is to stay in budget, because if you guys are interested in doing fix or flips or even being a wholesaler, now a lot of people start out just by being a wholesaler because they might not have a money partner, or they're a little bit scared or apprehensive on starting on a big project or even a smaller project. They just want to get something under contract and just sell the paper. You guys know about wholesaling, and I know there's videos on wholesaling and everything like that. But today we're going to really mainly focus on budgets and how to determine a budget and what to look for when you walk into a house that you want to flip. Because a lot of people walk into a house and go, I can do this for $20,000. I swear, I hear it all the time. Wholesalers do it to me all the time. I got a deal. It's a wholesale deal. I got it under contract. I said, okay, throw me the numbers, because we're about the numbers. As an investor, you have to know about the numbers first, and then to determine if it's a good deal or not a good deal. So, you know, obviously the budget determines what you could offer, your maximum allowable offer, what it's going to be. If you don't understand your budgets and construction and what to look for and where to look in the house, you could really get in trouble with that. So anyway, so a couple of things. First, and I mentioned the wholesalers. A lot of wholesalers, they don't know anything about construction. Reason why a lot of wholesalers are wholesalers is because they don't have money partners, or they don't know about construction, and they don't want to take on these projects because they are tedious. You have to deal with contractors or subcontractors that don't show up, and so on and so forth. You guys all heard the horror stories. I've been through them. I mean, I go through them now. I got a house in Memphis I'm doing, and I got ripped off by a contractor. I'm supposed to know this stuff, and I still got ripped off by a guy because I'm not there to watch everything. For those of you guys who watch the TV shows on TV, and a lot of the people don't go to their flips, I'll be one to tell you, not the first to tell you, but one to tell you, you have to go to your flips. And that's how you become better and more wise about how to get to your budget. So I'm going to go into the budget stuff right now. Basically, when you're looking at a house, I can determine budgets without even seeing a house. But when you first start, you have to go to the house. You know, even if you have a regular job, a lot of people start this and it's their kind of weekend job. They want to get into it, but they still have a corporate job, or they have a job that they're working at, and they want to do this on the side. For me, I'm a full-time investor. This is all I do. I'm not a teacher that flips houses. I'm not a fireman that flips houses. I'm not a contractor that flips houses. Obviously, I learned what I learned by flipping houses and having the people and my sphere of influence in subcontractors, so that it was congruent with what I was doing in flipping houses, that I can make extra money on top of the money we were making. So a few things, and if you guys have pens and papers, I would encourage the writing notes. And let me tell you, I spent a lot of time with Richard Branson on Necker Island, and he came up to me after he was doing like a little seminar on his island at his house, and he said, the one thing I noticed about you, young man, is you asked great questions and you took notes. And he goes, that's why you're going to be more successful than you already are. So I determine when I speak, it's not because I want, I feel good when you're taking notes because I feel like I'm doing something. No, it's because I really want you guys to learn. And like I said to my young friend over here, I said, a wise man learns from other people's mistakes. And I've made a lot of them, especially in this area. And when I first started and I started budgeting houses, I was no different than other people. Like, I'd go in the house and go, okay, well, I'll put some paint here. I'll do some crown molding. I'll do new cabinets, granite, some floors, and so on. And that, I could do this house for $25,000. Well, let me tell you something. I didn't look at the house, what age it was. When was it built? You could tell a lot about a house on what age it was built. If it was built in 1920, 1930, 1940, you rest assured you're going to have plumbing issues. They have galvanized plumbing in these things. The electrical is not grounded. So if you walk in to a 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s house, and you're like, well, it's not that bad. I mean, it's a little uneven, but that's the charm of the house and all that. You could rest assured when you have a buyer come to buy your house, they hire an inspector. And that inspector will go through the house with a fine-tooth comb and find everything that's wrong with the house and that's not up to code, and everything else under the sun that you could even think of. They'll find rot underneath the house. They'll find termite damage, mold. Even if it looks like mold, they'll say it's mold and scare your new buyer, and then you're obviously having to go and relist the house and go through this. And when you're paying hard money, and some of us pay 3 points 15%, 2 points 12%, it's a lot of money. When you have a buyer and you didn't do the house right, and you didn't budget the house right, and so you budget 25 and it was really 60,000. And trust me, I've seen this happen many, many times, especially with the wholesalers. They'll throw me a deal and go, it's $25,000 rehab. And I always ask them, did you go underneath the house? Well, no. Did you go in the attic of the house? Well, no. How do you know there's insulation up there? How do you know there's no vapor barrier? Did you see plumbing, galvanized plumbing? What year is the house? You have to really go through it almost like an inspector. Well, if you didn't do a house before, right? How are in your mind, you're like, oh my God, this sounds really hard. Like Paulie's making it sound hard. He's talking fast. He's throwing a lot of information at me. And I don't know where do I start. Well, guess what? Everybody starts somewhere. So what you have to do is start collaborating and working with people that do know this, like a contractor. So you need a team when you're doing this business. You need a good title person. You need a good real estate agent. You need a good wholesaler. You need a good money person, and you need a good contractor and or subcontractors, a bunch of them. Because when you look at a house and you're determining a budget, there's a lot of things that we forget to put in our budget. So getting back to what I started. So a house in 1920s, 30s, and 40s is going to be a different ball of wax than even a house in 1970. Like a brick style rancher house. You see them here in Nashville, Tennessee. They're everywhere. And, you know, we do a lot of those. I get some even newer houses, like in the 80s, 90s, even 2000. I did one 2002 just... I just finished it and put it on the market maybe 2 weeks ago in Hermitage, and we sold it right away. And I determined that budget a lot different than I do a 1920s, 30s, and 40s house. Now, I will tell you this, write this down. When you're starting and you haven't done a deal yet, don't take on a house that was built in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, because there's so many things that could go wrong. There's lead-based paint. There's termite damage. There's galvanized plumbing. There's ungrounded electrical. The plaster is not sheetrock. We have sheetrock in today's type of building. You have plaster. So when you're doing demolition, people think, oh, I'll just pay a guy to come out and demo, and I'll pay him, $800. Well, guess what? Not when you're taking down plaster. Mark?
Yeah, when you talk about those old houses, go to East Nashville and say, hey, it looks like I bought this old house. But now you're in that historic.
I'm dealing with them right now.
Just a nightmare. So you figure you're getting a great deal, and then all of a sudden you got to deal with the historic Nazis over there.
Yes, and I'm dealing with them right now, and I'll get to a little of that too. And it does determine budget. So how do you look at a house? Well, what does most people look? They go in and look at the house. Here's how I look at a house. I look at the year it was built. I look at the square footage of the house. I look underneath the house. I go into the attic of the house. And a lot of people just walk in and go, oh, I'll just beautify it. Let me tell you guys something about doing budgets. Yes, I know everybody's a designer and they watch the shows, and that's good. That's part of your budget, and I'll get to that. But the most important thing about flipping a house is to have integrity and character for your company, because you're branding yourself. So if you get this budget thing wrong, you will start cutting corners. People talk about cutting corners in business to make a profit. Let me tell you, when I first started and I would make a bad budget, I would fix the house anyway and I would lose money. Because I'd rather keep my name good and my brand good and my house good instead of trying to make the money. So this is how important this subject is. So I determine the square footage. Why the square footage? If I have a 4,000 square foot house and I have a 1,800 square foot house, everything is different. Your painting is different. Your kitchen layout might be different. The kitchen layout is bigger in a 4,000 square foot house opposed to an 1,800 to 1,500 square foot house. If there's a steep driveway, you have to budget in for all the things that are wrong. And that's one thing wrong here, because when we get snow and ice, people, when they're in their subconscious mind, when they're buying a house, they look at a house and go, oh my God, it's sitting on a hill, and when it snows here and it's ice, I can't leave my house. So I don't want this house. So what happens is you have to discount the price when you list the house. So that is also supposed to be on the front end when you're doing your budget. So if you have a little bit of a busy street, which I don't really like buying on a busy street, anybody who's ever heard me speak before, and I'll say it again, there's 9 houses I don't buy, and one of them is where it's on a busy street or train tracks or things like that. But let's say it's on a semi-busy street, but you got a great deal on the house, but it still has a little bit of noise on it, right? I'll still buy it, but I'll budget in $10,000 less on anything like the high on the hill thing. Maybe the lot in the back doesn't have a flat backyard. It either dips down or goes up. These are things that buyers, when they go to buy, they watch. And for those of us who are real estate agents, and I used to be a real estate agent years ago, I would listen to my buyers. And that's part of learning how to become a better budget doer, is by listening to your buyer. So when you do a flip, or you're just starting out, you want to talk to real estate agents. We have a lot of them here with Green. You want to talk to them and say, what are buyers looking for? If it's in a bad school district, that goes in your budget. I promise you. It's on a hill, that goes in your budget. A busy street, you could hear highway noise, so on and so forth. It has to go in your budget. So that, like, people just walk into a house and go, they look at the house and they're like, oh, okay, I'll fix that door, that's broken, and the windows are fine, I'll just paint those things. Well, guess what? It costs sometimes more to make bad windows in a house function for FHA guidelines, because they've been painted over about 5 times and they don't work. So it's almost better to budget in for new windows. I go around and I literally will walk around and count every single window in the house. I'll look at the backyard. I'll look at the side yard. I will look at the neighbor. No one ever talks about this when they talk about budgets. You're probably wondering, I thought Paulie was going to talk about how much paint costs and how much floors cost. Well, yes, I'll get to that. But before I even go really into the house, I determine things. Like I said earlier, I can determine things without even looking at a house anymore. I could go on Google Maps. I could go on Zillow or Truly or MLS comps, and I'll look at the size of the house, like I said, and all the year and all of that. Before I ever get to a house, I already have an inkling on where the house sits and the lot and the whole 9 yards. I'm not even talking about beautifying it. That's kind of the easy part, believe it or not, if there's anything easy in this business. It gets easier as you do it, but there's nothing easy. If it was easy, there'd be 300 people in this room. The reason why a few people show up, and it's usually the same people, is because they're determined to be better at something in their life. It's like losing weight. We talked about losing weight. It's like, if you have a goal to lose weight, it's not going to be easy. It's hard. You sweat, you eat right, go through, less sleep and get up early because you have a long day. So you determine these things. Same thing with this business. It's the same thing. You got to get out there. If you can't look at the house and you can't do these things and get online and really put some time and effort into doing the budget right, this is where you're going to lose your money. Not having the right contractor, not having the right people, not having the right subcontractor, not having the right attitude and character to get out there and work on Saturday and Sunday in the beginning, because a lot of you guys getting into this have a job, a regular job. So you have to find time to really pinpoint to learn your craft. So it might be on a Saturday or Sunday or after work or before work. So guess what? This all really, it's congruent to what I'm saying, is that it's not easy. It's people look at a budget and they look at this business and they're like, no problem. I could do this house for 30 grand. But guess what? It's not that easy. A lot of investors, use these numbers. And I'll just use $100,000 for sake of clarity. And it could be $1 million, it could be $2 million house, it could be an average $250,000 house here in Nashville. That's about the average now. We're looking at about what is it, Brandon? About $217 or something like that.
And
An average?
Nashville, what was
Yeah.
that?
No, try the latest one, 360.
360 in Nashville? Wow.
Yes.
Where have I been? I've been under a rock.
360.
Wow.
You don't buying your houses from us, that's the problem.
Well, so anyway, I've been living in the Stone Age. I just been Trump there. But okay, so let's say even you could take any number, but let's just use $100,000, which it's going to be a lot harder to get houses at that price now. Or most. I mean, I'm selling a trailer for $150. You know what I mean? Like that's how crazy it's gotten. I got a double wide manufactured home, which I usually don't buy, but last 3 I did, I've done well. So guess what? I've changed my mind on that too. See, I learn too every day. I'm not the smartest guy in the room, and if I am, I get into a different room. 'Cause I hate being the smartest guy in the room because I want to keep learning. I want to be the best at what I do, and so that's why I'm always determined. People say, "Man, you got so much energy. You work 7 days a week." They have no idea why. It's because I want to be the best. You know what I mean? Everything I do, I want to be the best at. But anyway, so take $100,000, and that's your after repair value. That's what a good realtor like Brandon takes it, lists it. It looks great. You did a great job, and you did all you put in everything that the house needed. You fixed all the problems. Okay, with the house. You now know you can sell it fast. Now I know a lot of people that do this. They want to break records. They want to. If you price a house in this example at $100,000 and someone's willing to pay $110, well, that's okay, but you priced it right. And if you get into a bidding war, which we've been seeing a lot here in the last 2 years, we've been getting a lot of bidding wars. It's okay. I still priced the house right. I don't care about the bidding war because let me tell you something. It might not appraise. It doesn't matter what you sell it for. So you got $100,000 times that by 0.65. If the house is built 1980 and above, I use 0.70. Now, that's part of my budgeting. And you probably asking why. Now, I'm sure you guys are pretty smart, but I'll kind of touch upon that. Why do I use 70 if the house is built after 80 and 90 and 2000? Well, because they're easier to do. What did I say earlier? 19, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 houses are a lot harder. So I have to budget in. When I first start my numbers, I have to budget in for exactly these reasons why I'm telling you. So if it's over 1980, I do it from 0.707%, 70% LTV, loan to value of the 100,000 minus my budget, and that's the subject that we've been talking about here. Now, if you make a mistake on the budget number, you will buy it wrong. So if you walked into a house in this example and you said, okay, I could do this house for $20,000. I'm just going to put lipstick on the pig, right? But you forget about that the new buyer is going to go hire an inspector, and that inspector is going to come out with a booklet of 70 pages of everything that's wrong in the attic, underneath the house, on the outside, the siding's falling apart, there's rot underneath the siding that you didn't check, and so on. The foundation has a crack. Oh, it's shifting, it's this, the floors are not level, they put their laser thing, there's moisture in the basement, they got moisture tests, the electric, they check the electric, oh, there's 3 GFI switches that are not working, and so on and so forth. Now that 20,000 that you thought ends up being 40,000, and there's all your profit. And that's where people lose money. So that's why it's really important to really pay attention to all the little things that I've been touching upon today. Also, what determines it's 100,000? Well, guess what? And again, I used to be a realtor, so if I say something against a realtor, it's not because not every realtor really knows what the house is worth. I've seen a lot of real estate agents, and I'm not knocking them because I really do appreciate realtors and they work hard. They do. It's not like they don't just put it on there. They deal with people and people's attitude. Trust me, I know. So I don't really like to talk bad, but a lot of realtors, they probably don't know. Just out of the goodness of their heart, they think, oh, well, the market's booming here in Nashville, so we could climb and try to break the barrier. What are they doing by telling you that? They're actually skewing your budget and they're skewing your numbers. And if you skew your numbers determined by them, and you got to admit, like they are, in the end, they are salesmen. I mean, they have to get a commission check. And I'm not saying they're all like that. Most of them are not. By the goodness of their heart, most of them are just kind of trying to give you a positive reinforcement. But as an investor, it's your job to know your numbers. It's your job to know after repair value. It's your job. If you don't know it and you take somebody else's word, well, even if they're good people, they might not know. They might not know. So it's your job. How do you determine that? Well, guess what? You get comps in the area and you get in your car and you drive those comps. Zillow's gotten way better than when I first started. They have recently sold comps. If you're not a realtor or you don't have a great relationship with your realtor yet and you don't want to bug them, because realtors are busy, man. They're listing houses. They're taking clients out. They don't have time to just send you 100 comps for 100 different houses. You know what I mean? So it's your job to learn this stuff. How do you do it without having access to MLS and all that? You go to use something like Zillow, Trulia, get the most recent comps and drive the comps. When you go and do your budget for what it's going to cost to fix the house, you want to drive to the comps that's sold. Because guess what? Their house might be on a flat piece of land. Yours is on a hill. Remember, we're going back to what I said. So flat piece of land, if they sold their house for $300, and you're on a hill, guess what? Your house is only worth $290. So you have to do that LTV, loan to value formula that I just showed you, determining on what is the differences, what is the same. When you look at a comp, is it a 3-bedroom, 2-bath? You know what I mean? Does it have a 2-car garage? How nice how nice was that house when they sold it? Was it a rehabbed house, and so on and so forth? A lot of times when you do a house like we do a house, and us investors here, we do a house and fix everything and beautify it and do some nice design and bring in all the high-end finishes for, determining on where the price range is and all that. But even in some of my lower-end houses, I do all the things that I'm talking about here today. I fix everything. Because it will always come back in the end to bite you in the butt. I promise you. And a couple of times when I made these mistakes in my earlier days, and I would try to I'd be like, okay, man, I'll just save those windows, and then I got a buyer, and now I got to redo all the windows anyway because FHA is not going to give them a loan because they're painted shut and we can't get them open, or the window's not working correctly, it's old, it's got, we find out that the brick mold around there has a little rot because they do test all this stuff. So, and I would try to kind of penny pinch and, okay, I'll just do a lot of work on the house. If you're doing work on your own house, you're doing this business wrong. Because then you're just going to be a painter or a contractor or a subcontractor. You have to buy them right so that you can have enough in your budget to hire people out. Because you don't want to be painting your own houses and doing demolition because you're just a $15 an hour person. That's not what we're teaching here. That's not, Manny just made $150,000 on a house he didn't even touch. Okay, I know Steve has done some kahuna deals that he didn't touch because there's knowledge behind that. But we're talking about flipping here. Once you get in the game, I was an athlete growing up and all that. I just wanted to get in the game. That's where you'll learn. that's what we're doing here today is we're learning. We're learning from each other. We trade deals in here. People across, I do deals all over the country. I have to determine if the person that goes and sees my houses outside of me getting on a plane and going to see it, I have to determine if they're good enough to look at a house. And then I have to look at a house the way I've touched upon here today. Is I look at the square footage, the year, I get pictures, I get videos, I get really detailed about this stuff.
Question, I know, it's funny.
No problem, nothing's funny. Every question's a good question.
Yeah, the ARV, like you gave that example, so let's say you're looking at a house that the end sale is $100,000.
Yeah.
That's the value established to put it for sale.
Yes.
So when you look at a house like that, and you said the 65%, then minus the budget. So you're saying take in consideration, and let's use budget for 25 G.
Yeah.
Whatever, just hypothetical like we're going with it. Yeah. So 65 grand would be 65% of the 100 grand. Minus the budget?
Minus the budget, yeah. So and then that's your maximum allowable offer. So you have to know how to determine the budget, and that's kind of what we're touching upon. So yeah, you're at 65. If it's over 80, you're at 70. If it's built in 1980 and over, it's at 70. If it's built in 1979 and under, guess what? I'm going to use the 65%. And then I'm going to determine the budget, and in my budget, after I'm done with doing my budget, I put a $5,000 oops budget inside of my budget. So I'll go and do all my numbers and so on and so forth, right? Now, I've done so many houses that I'll be honest, like I don't really get super detailed right now because I have blueprints of a rancher, three bedroom, 2-bath rancher, that I'm going to take out a wall. I'm going to do a new kitchen, bathrooms, hardwood floors, new interior doors, exterior doors, roof, windows, underneath the house, in the attic, new insulation up in the attic, spray a little extra up in the attic, paint the brick just to give it that flair and that separation of every other house in there, give it that modern feel. I already know because I have a blueprint of what I've done those deals. I've probably done 60 ranch, 1960 to 70 year built ranchers. So I have that blueprint. But for a lot of you guys that are just starting out, you have to get in your car. You have to do these things. You have to determine what the roof is going to cost. Now, how do you know if you don't know? Like, you can't just, you're probably wondering, like, I can't just drive up to a house and, like, how many squares of that roof, like how big is the roof and how much do I pay for squares? Like, go ahead, Steve.
Well, so I'm gonna, and this is more for me. And
yeah.
I have to be selfish sometimes. What are you getting just for a straight tear off? Let's say it's a basic 312, 412 pitch.
Yeah.
Straight tear off. What's your on architectural shingles? What are you getting per square on roofing right now?
With the labor and material.
120, 130 now.
More than that.
It's higher than that.
It's higher than that.
You used to be able to get it like
my cost is about 140.
Okay. You used to be able to do it for us for like 110.
I used to because I used to buy container full of shingles, 30-year architectural shingles.
So
I don't do that.
So you guys that don't know, a square is 100 square feet. Can't measure it just by the square footage of the house and the footprint because there's a pitch. So it's big and there's an overhang. So you're at 100. Your cost is 140 a square on roof.
My cost is 140. You could get a good deal nowadays. Would be so. It's very easy.
It's a good deal to get 160 a square these days.
Yeah, that would be a great deal. And there's guys that'll do it. Like me, you call me, I'll do it for you. If you ever get a roof, I own a roofing company. I'll do it for you all day long. 3 times on Sunday.
Basic ranch house. Let's say you don't have to go in and get a whole bunch of boogered up drywall, remove wallpaper. You're just painting walls and trim. Rough dollar per foot on that. Under $2 still?
Yeah, under $2 a square foot. So if your house is 1,500 square feet or 1,800 square feet, times $2 a square foot is very doable. There's painters that'll do it. Now, because everybody's so busy, they might want $250 to $3. And don't forget, I have crews that have been working with me for 9 years. So I get a little bit better deals. And I'm going to go over all this, all the beautifying, probably right when I finish this off. So basically, any questions on what I talked about just yet? Does anybody have anything?
70 or 75% on the 80s and on houses?
70. Now, I'm not saying I've never bought a house at 75 loan to value. I've not. I've done it before, so I'm not saying I don't. Here's my thing. I'm keeping you guys safe. I always keep people safe. All my students across the country, I keep them safe. Sometimes they're like, man, you're too conservative. I'm like, yeah, because it's a lot harder to lose $20,000 and have to bring $20,000 to close a house and get a closing just to get rid of a house you bought wrong and did the budget wrong and all of that. It's a lot harder to bring $20,000 of your hard-earned money to get rid of a house than to not do a house. I'd rather say no to a house and not make any money than to take a risk and lose money. Because there's nothing worse than losing money and bringing a check to the closing table. And I can tell you, I just recently did that. So don't think I'm like, because I'm standing up here and I'm the smart guy in the room here. Trust me, I still make the mistakes. And if I can make a mistake, I promise you guys will. Why? Because I've done that. Because I've stretched it, because I'm like, okay, I got my own guys. We're about speed. I can get my guys in here. I'll keep this. Guess what? When you try to make a non-deal a deal, that's when you lose money. When you try to budget something lower and maybe I'll negotiate my tile guy lower. You might negotiate him down because he needs work, but he'll never come back and do tile for you again. You see how that works? If you treat your guys, I love negotiating. You could kind of tell I could negotiate. I'm not afraid to talk to people, right? But there's a fine line in negotiations, and that's part of doing your budget. So when I'm doing a budget, right, and I'm negotiating, I sometimes let them win. And the people are like, man, you could have got him for less. And I'm like, yeah, I could have got him for a lot less. But I also want to build a relationship with him, because when I need him and I call him, he's the first guy to come out on a Saturday afternoon. And that is very important. So is negotiations important in budgeting? Oh, absolutely. But is it to the point where you're really being unfair to him and his family and his kids and his dreams? I have 5 crews that's been with me. My lowest crew that's been with me is about 4.5 years. I have a guy that was there from day one with me, 9 years. So that kind of tells you how I run my business. I try to run it in a very family-oriented way. I try to be as fair as possible. Obviously, when you're like the boss and you're the guy who pays everybody and you're the leader and all that, sometimes, they just forget where they come from. And that's going to happen. I've had that happen to me. I just had to let go of a landscaper that was with me for probably 5.5, 6 years. And this guy gave me the runaround because today there's a lot more jobs. Now, he's got more jobs here and he's trying to keep me happy. But guess what? I'm about speed and velocity. I'm not cutting Mrs. Anderson's lawn down the street where she's paying him more. I got hard money. I got people that rely on me. And, my hard money people, I cherish them because they're lending me their money. And they're lending me their life savings in some aspects. I have the private money people that lend me out of their Roth IRAs. Those are their life. And I owe it to them to really do this right, what we're talking about. Because if I don't, man, it's very risky. And trust me, you want to hear what's even worse than bringing a check to the closing table is bringing a check to your hard money guy and bringing a check to close it. Because I've done that one too. I promise you I've done that. $32,000 in total on one deal. Because why? Because I listened to somebody that was was telling me, oh man, I'm gonna break records. It's the best area. Sylvan Park is hot right now. Sylvan, and the whole time he was there. I'm like, I can't find the comps this guy's telling me. He said, no, man, it's hot over there. You don't know. I can't find the comps. I can't. And I got suckered in. Even the good guys get suckered in. And guess what? You think this happened to me 8 years ago. No. Let me explain to y'all. Last year this happened to me. $32,000 I lost. And you know what? When I needed his help, I said, man, you got to discount your commission here and all. Oh, man, I do this for a living, bro. But you were telling me you could sell it for X amount of dollars. You know, so let me tell you guys something. What I said earlier about you need to know your numbers and you need to know the comps and don't rely on something, because I don't really think he was trying to hustle me. You know, I really don't. I don't think he's a bad guy. You know who was a bad guy in that? Lazy Polly, because I got lazy. I'm like, you know, I think he's right. He'll sell it. It's hot, you know. It's Nashville. There's no low inventory. Everybody uses that. Low inventory. Let me tell you something. You go by the comps. And I couldn't find those comps, and I listened to the guy, and it cost me 32 G's. And that's hard to lose. Trust me. Even on my level. Because I could have bought a car, I could have bought a rental property, I could have done a lot of things, a piece of land, I could have put it in a budget, $32,000. If I handed $32,000 on these tables right here, you guys would take it. I would.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's get a little bit more pinpoint on what things cost when you walk into a house. And the things that everybody forgets to include. Now, I talked about outside the house, on a hill, and all those things, busy street, discount, whatever. You have to discount. Okay? I like to discount when it's really, really something bad, like in a flood zone. I don't even buy in a flood zone, but if you want to buy in a flood zone, you heard it from me, it's going to take you a lot harder to sell. The people won't want to buy it because they have to pay flood insurance. And after the May 10 floods here, flood insurance went through the roof. And if someone's buying your house in a flood zone and they have to pay $2,000 a year in flood insurance, because that's what it costs in a lot of instances. If it's in a floodway, it's about $2,000, $2,200. If it's in a floodplain, just a flood zone, it's somewhere around $400 or $500 a year. And you know this. And ask me how I know this. Everything I talk about, you notice I don't have books, pinpoints, everything is because I did it. I didn't learn this out of a book. Yes, I had coaches. Yes, I have a business coach now. All of that, yes. But I learned this through blood, sweat, and tears. And I'm telling you, I wish I had me when I was starting out. I wish I had a guy like me that actually really cared about people. You know, most of the people were doing it for the money. I don't do that. I make my own money. I don't need money from people. But so flood zones, things like that, you've got to discount it big time. Even if you're going to buy a house in a flood zone, and I'm not saying I've never done it before and didn't sell the house. I have, and I sold the house, got a great deal on it. You know,
You did the one in Franklin.
I did the one in Franklin, years ago. That's how I met Manny, you know, seven plus years ago. He brought me a deal. It's in a flood zone. I didn't really want to buy it, but I'm glad I did because I made 40-something thousand on it, and he made about 47 not touching it. That's why they call him the magic man. But anyway, but it took me a little longer to sell the house. So if you're paying hard money, guess what? You got to budget in an extra month, 2 months, 3 months. Even in a hot market. So if you're going to buy something that has a really bad tag on it, it's going to cost you that. Now we walk into the house. Now you walk up to the house, okay? And we talked about going underneath over the surroundings. Can you see a supermarket from the backyard? Guess what? People don't want to be in the backyard and look at industrial. So you have to discount it. I'm not saying you can't sell it. I'm just saying you have to discount it. So when you're doing those magic numbers that I gave you, and a lot of you guys know those numbers already. You're not hearing this for the first time. And if you are, that's cool. This is actually my uncle showed me this in 1989. And let me tell you, it's made me a lot of money knowing those three numbers. So you walk into the house now, you did all the things, you looked at it, you got your comps, you go to the house. You can't get in the house. Get in the house. Call your realtor. If you're going to buy this house, don't just look in the windows and go, yeah, looks good. I got kitchen, bathroom. No. Get in the house. You got to get in the house. I'm not even going to say it publicly, but I always get in the house. You determine what I do, but I always get in the house. Most investors get in the house. You got a realtor. You don't want to bug your realtors too, because in order to get a deal that fits in that formula that I just talked about, you might have to look at 50 houses. So if you have a realtor and you bug them, and you're bugging them and bugging them and bugging them and bugging them, they're going to be like, this is not a buyer. This person's not a buyer. Even though you're a buyer and you want to buy, they might not understand what we know. Because a realtor doesn't know what an investor does, and an investor really doesn't know what a realtor does. We all think that they know what they're talking about, and realtors think that we all think we know what we're talking about. There's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. But really and truly, we're on the same team. We just know different things. You know what I mean? So you walk into the house. Let's get back there. Look at what you could keep. That's the first thing I do. I look at, is the roof okay? How do you determine if a roof is okay? Well, normally you can tell. But the way to look at a roof is it starts curling. The ends of the roof starts curling. And it looks very brittle. And the granules on the roof are so weathered that like you could see like spots where there's no granule. And that's when you determine like, man, this thing needs a roof. Even if you walk into the house and you don't see any visible leaks, I'm going to tell you one thing. Doing a roof, you protect the house. Doing a roof, for most people, it's a big expense when they're a buyer. So when they're a buyer and they look at that and they see this roof curling and everything's all shiny and brand new, and you got this old roof, they're going to ask for a new roof. And the inspector that they hire, we talked about him, he's going to say this roof sucks. It's on its last 2 years. You can lose a buyer. And what you don't want is losing a buyer when you're doing what we do, because the longer it stays on the market, you're paying hard money and your money's wrapped up. You want to get that in, velocity money, get your money out and move on to the next deal. So look at the roof. I like to paint brick. Painting brick is easier than painting the interior of the house. So you can determine the square footage of a house and just say $1 a square foot for the painting on the outside. Why is it easier to paint the brick? Now, even though the brick absorbs a lot of the paint and stuff like that, you normally have to do 2 coats. Believe it or not, they use the sprayer there, and they could spray quick outside. And you know, it's not something that like you have to cover the grass, because even if you get paint on the grass, it's going to grow. You're going to cut it. It's going to be gone. You know, interior painting is a lot harder. You got trim. You got the ceiling. If you have popcorn ceiling, I usually scrape popcorn ceiling out. I know most of you people, and I'll tell you right now, most people hate popcorn ceiling. If you guys don't know what popcorn ceiling is, the other name for it is acoustic ceiling. And the reason why they use acoustic ceiling is it was a lot easier back in the 70s and 80s and 90s to just spray this popcorn looking substance up there, acoustic ceiling, because they didn't have to sand, they didn't have to do 3 finishes of the mud and tape and sanding and mud and tape and sanding. There's a lot that determines sheetrock work. And for the people that are members, I talked about sheetrock for many hours on so many different things. Mark?
Who had the bright idea of putting little sparkles in that one?
You know, there's a reason for those too. There's a reason for those, but it's a long story. It's not really conducive of what this. I want to get all this out. So you're looking at the popcorn. You're looking at sheetrock all like look for mold, termite damage underneath the house. Because if you see termite damage, you have to get rid of the old the old wood and all of that. That means your framers are going to be involved in this. Opening up a wall, because everybody wants the open concept now. The realtors that are with green, they'll tell you the first thing their clients go, I don't like it, it's too boxy, it's not open enough. So when you walk into the house, well, what does it cost to remove a wall? Okay, we got the painting prices. An average roof, and Steve was asking us earlier, an average roof is about $160 a square. How do you determine the square? You just call a guy. Call a roofing company or talk to people that use the roofer. Call me here in Nashville. I'll do all your roofs. I don't care. I don't make a lot of money on with my investor friends. I do roofs for many, many people. Here, all my investor friends. I'm busy with the roof, but I'll get you done. And let's say he says it's 30 squares. So I would say an average ranch house, which that was a question by Steve, is around 26 squares. That's an average 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square feet. It's around 26 to 28 squares. So if it's 160 to 175 a square, you just simply take the 160 times 26. If it's a bigger roof, I just did a roof, the one in Franklin that Steve, we bought off of Steve and his partner. It was 45 square. So it cost us $6,000, my cost, to do that roof. So if you take that number that I just gave you on an average house, because that's not an average house, it's obviously a lot larger of a house, but an average house, you're going to come up with somewhere around $4,000. So when you're doing your budget, guess what? Now you know in your head, you're like, okay, it needs a roof, $4,000. Windows, you count each window, $250 a window on average, times 10, $2,500. See, now we're getting to the real nuts and bolts of how to do a budget, okay? Sand and finish hardwood floors that are already there. A lot of these ranchers have wood floors in them, and you've seen them here. Yes, sir.
What's the average size house, square feet wise, on the average?
The average size house is anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000. That's very average. 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. If it's a 1.5 bath, I always make it a 2-bath. I find a way. And we'll get into that more, like maybe I'll come and speak again very soon on like getting really highly detailed. Because do you see, I did a 3-day boot camp, and on Sunday night I could hardly talk. I started on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'm talking from 8 in the morning till 8, 9 o'clock at night, and I still wasn't done. There's so much stuff. So much stuff, man, that could go wrong, right? So many details, but I'm just doing this quick because it's about keeping you safe, but getting you going to it, not trying to scare you, because you can do it. I promise you can do this business. It's not that hard. It's just, it's a little tedious, and learning from people and having the right people.
Well, the last thing you want is a $20,000 2x4 upside of your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So getting back to that. So, sand and finish, hardwood floors. If the floors are really in bad shape, I promise you, a good flooring company can fix it, believe it or not. You should see some of the floors that we bring back to life. So don't really get scared about the floor. Now, if you do want to go over the floor, do not demo the old floor, believe it or not. Keep it there. It's actually a really good base to put down your new floor on it, whether it be laminate wood flooring, whether it be, new hardwood flooring or engineered hardwood flooring, sand and finish hardwood flooring. Do you see, I could go on sand and finish for an hour and a half. I swear to God. I could go on engineered flooring. It's so hard because, man, I got ADD is bad enough. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to get as much out. So just on average, if you're going to sand and finish your floors, and you hire someone, it's going to be around $2 a square foot. So simple math. You bring a measuring tape, and you measure
for reference, just so you guys know, Paul gets good prices.
Mhm.
I mean, your average Joe out there may not get $2 a square foot for sand and finish.
Yeah.
That's
I actually get it for way less.
yeah.
I got my own guys.
Yeah, and I know there's some guys.
I get it for $1.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a guy that's done it for $1, and that's just crazy. It is absolutely.
But think
insane.
about this though. Now, watch this. I'm going to make a good, quick
I know
example.
he's a volume guy.
Yeah.
He's just got it covered, but that's just.
But think about this. Let's say he's got 800 square feet,
Yeah.
and he could sand and finish that in less than 2 days. Okay? Because he's going to sand it, then put the first coat of, like a stain or a polyurethane, depending on what you want. Now they have some really classic gray is what I've been using a lot. We use dark walnut.
This guy's probably paying his guys like 30 cents a foot, and they're just going out and crushing
Yeah,
thousands and thousands.
They're crushing it,
Yeah.
and they're crushing it. But average is going to be $2 to $2.50 a square foot until you build the relationship. It's always about the relationship. And call me too. I'll help you guys. I promise you. I have 3 flooring guys, so I don't use all 3 guys. If I'm not using a guy, I'll send him your way. I promise. I'll even get involved and make sure he comes.
Would you say, and this has been my experience, where I've seen catastrophic failures. That's what you want to keep people from having. The biggest failures I've seen have been trust issues, where somebody knows a contractor or a friend, and then that's kind of how they make their money, is saying that they can do work that they're not really qualified to do. They may be well-intentioned, they may not, but then they know they're going to get paid because they say they can do a big job. And
that happens a lot.
They say, sure, I'll get this done for $30,000, and then the next thing you know, you're $15,000 into the guy, and
you sound like you're speaking from some experience.
Yeah, well,
we all.
I've cut a couple of people off before, very quickly, because the second they get ahead of you, you don't let them get ahead of you.
That happened to me in Memphis.
Yeah,
that thing. And by the way, you think it happened to me 8 years ago, and 9 years ago? No.
Well,
this just happened to me.
We partner with a guy on some deals out of Cheatham County, and he'll even tell you, he'll say, he's a general contractor, and the second guys get out of prison, they call him.
Oh, yeah.
And he said that's a lot. I mean, they need work, but on his junkie rehabs where he doesn't have clients, so he says sometimes they're the best guys in the world.
Yeah, because they need the money.
Exactly.
But they also need a leader. And if you don't show up, listen to me, if you don't show up to your rehab and you hire a guy and you trust him, you're going to lose money. I promise you. Let me tell you guys, one thing I do know, I don't know a lot, but I know this business. Man, I know this business like the back of my hand. I'm still looking for someone who understands the construction part of this business like me. There's guys who know the paperwork side way better than me. Steve knows a lot more than me about wraparounds and subject twos and all that. I know a lot about it, but these guys get great detail. That's why, that you can't do everything. You can't be everything. Even someone like myself who's very energetic, I sleep 4 hours a night, Manny will tell you. He will tell you that I'm not lying here. You could put money on this, and I did a boot camp, a whole weekend boot camp on 2 hours of sleep, and that's no lie. And people are coming on to me on Sunday going, man, where do you get your energy? And they didn't know. It's in my head. I snap it on. And then when I leave here, I'll probably go home because we're really tired. We worked out hard in the morning. I'm not eating that much like I was before. I'm trying to get back in shape.
You lost 20 pounds in 17 days.
Yeah. So, I'm going hardcore. But it doesn't mean that I can't be energetic and passionate about what I do because this is what I love. And I hate it at the same time, but I love it. It's a love-hate relationship.
Trust me. You've given us a solid hour. I think we need to wrap it up.
No, give me 5 more minutes because I want to.
I got you.
We started. Don't take no time off of me.
All right.
I'm just telling you how energetic I am. I'm just getting going. I usually warm up after.
We just don't want your wife pissed at us.
Don't worry, my wife loves me because I'm a great guy.
Yes.
No, she does
She
love me.
knows.
As long as she's not mad.
She has a reason.
My wife is the best wife anybody could have. And let me tell you guys something too. If you are married or you have a partner or whatever, get them on board with you when you do this stuff. Get them on board, man. Get them to love it. Bring them there. Like if someone's better at design or, talking to people. Some people don't have my personality there where they can talk to people and just, build a relationship. But if your partner or your spouse is better, let them do it. Let them do it, man. Bring them involved. This could be fun. It's not always work and hard and people robbing you and we make it sound hard and all. No, it could be done. I want people out there in the cyberspace. I want them to know, man. I promise you, I am not a smart guy. I'm telling you, I'm dyslexic. Don't ask me to. I will never read out loud. I can't spell. I'm horrible at math. All I know how to do is add up the numbers that I need to add up to do this. And I'm good with people, and I know construction, and I work hard. Yeah. So you guys could be way smarter than me, and do things a little different. But I'm just trying to keep you safe and giving you stuff. So don't look at me like I'm up here talking. I know a lot about this stuff. Man, I've been at this thing all my adult life. I used to project manage my uncle's projects when I was 19 years old. Okay? He's got 400 properties in California. He's doing good, paid for it, by the way. So I learned a lot from a man that came to this country who didn't even know how to speak English. Okay? Didn't know anything. He was scared in 1968. He's here 50 years in the business, and now he's never home. They travel. They have a house on the beach on Pacific and the nicest cars and all that. But you know what? He worked for it. No one ever handed it to him, just like me. And my uncle used to yell at me daily to do it right. And that's why I can teach this stuff, because I've done it. So, anyway, that's a little tidbit for you. Getting back to, okay, so we did the windows, hardwood floors, $2.50 square foot, and that should include the polyurethane materials and so on, sandpaper, because you go through a lot of sandpaper and all that, okay? Pulling out a wall, just put $2,000. Doing a patio, I'm going to go quick here so that you have a ballpark figure. You could get it for a little cheaper. You might pay a little more, but at least you're not getting ripped off when some guy comes to your house and says, I'll do your AC unit for $11,000. One of my students had a guy quote her $17,000. I called my guy. I said, don't you dare pay that. She signed a contract with him. I said, get out of that contract. And it was a bigger house, so obviously $17,000, but it was a bigger house. I got on the phone, talked to a guy that I knew, got it down, and I saved her $11,000 off of one phone call, and that ain't no lie. And most of you people know her, and she's very, very successful. And she was one of my first students. AC, you remember, you were there. And so I saved her $11,000 just on negotiating and knowing the right people. So an average AC unit, since I'm talking about AC, it's going to cost you, if you need the ductwork, okay, if it doesn't have an AC unit, I'm doing a house in Bordeaux right now that doesn't have an AC unit, I got my whole deal done for $4,500, and that includes, and it's a 1,900 square foot house, so that's what I paid for it, $4,500. You guys might pay $5,500 to $6,000 for something like that.
That's ductwork also?
Ductwork. Solid. It's a good deal. But guess what? He's been with me for 9 years. So.
Did you put a 4-ton system in there?
3.5.
You got, okay.
And I could go into ACs, and I will online when I do my teaching the Thursday nights. I'll go into AC another day, because I could talk about that for 5 hours.
Was that a new system, or did you get a refurb?
No, brand new.
Okay.
Scratch. I do ask for a scratch and dent. Write that down. Yeah. And there's a lot of times they can get me a scratch and dent. Believe it or not, I save about $2,000 when. So what is a scratch and dent? It's a brand new unit that they cannot sell brand new because it got dented, scratched up, the box is ripped, so on and so forth. Well, that's how we buy.
they'll pull them from new construction. They put the wrong tonnage in,
Yeah.
something like that. So
Yeah, split units are cheaper than package units. You could write that down too. When the guy asks you, you have to know terminology. Your AC guy comes and says, what do you want, a split unit? Marina, what do you want, a split unit or package unit? Which one? You say split. And that's, she knows I want a split unit, right? But what's the difference? Now I know you don't know what you're talking about. Now my price goes up.
Yeah.
You want a 30-year architectural roof, or do you want a 3-tab roof? Do you want ridge venting? Do you want ice and water in your valleys? Do you want new vent root pipes? What do you want? What color do you want?
All of that.
So guess what? If you don't understand the terminology, this is for everyone. Guess what? I already know you don't know. Guess what I'm going to do? I wouldn't do it. I don't do it. He knows my friggin' heart's too good. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because my mom didn't hug me enough. I don't know. But something happened in my upbringing that, whatever. But truth be known is you have to know the terminology. At least you know the prices now. Once you know the prices, say you shouldn't pay more than $6,000 for an average house. Now, 17 grand, the story I told you about one of my students that's really flourishing and doing well, she didn't do those bigger houses, so she was like, oh, well, because it's bigger. It's like, no, you've still got to know your numbers. It's about the tonnage. He asked about the tonnage. I'm not going to go into the tonnage. But let's just put it this way. You have to have the right unit for the right square footage. That I'm going to leave it there. Okay? That's fair. Cabinets, kitchen. When I walk into a house, I look at a kitchen and I do this really quick. People are like, well, does he talk about the backsplash, the gooseneck faucet, the sink, the garbage disposal, the granite, the beautiful cabinets, the floors, and the handles? A lot of people forget about the little handles and all those little things that add up in a budget. I just say $12,000 for an average kitchen. Now, I get my cabinets at Super Home Surplus. It's a surplus store that carries a lot of the same stuff over and over again. You could go to Southeastern Salvage. They have really good prices there on kitchens. If you want, you can buy your kitchens at Home Depot. You're gonna pay more, but they have a lot of that stuff in stock. So if you're like running late or something, you could go to Lowe's or Home Depot and just buy a kitchen. I like using the white shakers or espresso shaker cabinets. One is dark brownish, coffee looking dark, and then the other one is just white shaker, nice. That's what's really in right now. Grays, gray colors, whites, nice white backsplash with like a quartz-side. It's a quartz-side. They call it what do they call it? Having a break. No, it's called the super white. Super white. We use a lot of that super white, and it's a quartzite. It's like a marble looking stuff, and that's what's big right now. But I still use the coffee glaze with the Santa Cecilia granite, 3 centimeter. Granite should not cost you more than $32 a square foot. Okay, quartzite should not cost you more than $50 a square foot. So you see why the quartzite's a little bit more. So if someone hits you up at 60, you know you're paying too much. To do a backsplash, an average backsplash, you shouldn't pay more than $10 a square foot for your glass or a lot of times if you use subway tile, they're like literally $2 a square foot. That's why you see those a lot now, because people like it, but it's also cheap. So it's nice. It's a nice finish, and like I said, people love it. So when you're doing tile, since I got onto the tile, you shouldn't pay more than $3 a square foot to install it, but be cognizant of this. Now, how do you determine how much tile you got to put in the house, right? So bring your measuring tape. We know how to do the hardwood floors. We know how to do the tile and all that by measuring. If you're doing a tile insert, like you put a tub and you want tile all the way and put a glass pan and all of that, it's going to cost you $3 a square foot to $3.50 a square foot. That's what I get it for, and that's what you guys could get it for. I actually have guys on my crews that do it, and you know, it works out to be a lot less, but you want to use a good tile guy because people look at the finishes. A good painter, they look at a finish. I used to use this guy. He was a great guy, but his painting was a little lazy, and everybody would always say, "Who painted this house? Who painted?" And I hear that, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to kill this guy," you know. I love him though. I wouldn't do it literally, but you know what I mean. And I'm not going to say his name just in case somebody knows him because I don't want to hurt his business. But anyway, he was a good guy. He did it for pretty cheap, but he didn't pay attention to detail. Look for guys who pay attention to detail. And if he doesn't, you better get. I used to get him to come back 3-4 times. I'm like, nope, I'm not paying you. And you don't want to pay your people until they get the job done. Now, there's different ways to pay, and I'll go on to that some other time. So tile, $3, $3.50, max $4 a square foot. But be cognizant of this. If you have to prep the area, okay, when you have to prep the area, there's a thing called backer board. It's like a cement concrete backer board. You can't just put tile on top of wood because it's never going to last.
Some do.
Some do. And if they do, then you don't have integrity on the house and it's going to crack. It's horrible. I mean, you don't want to go that way. And there's different sizes of this thing too. So when you're doing shower inlay and all that, it's going to be a different backer board than when you're using it for a floor. If you're working on a concrete slab, there's some houses that are built on a concrete slab. Then you do not have to just make sure the concrete's ready to prep, and you could go ahead and put your thin set on there. What thin set is the thing that glues the tile on there, and most of you guys probably know that. Okay? So there's cost to that. So when you're doing this, I'm giving you labor and material on some, but thin set costs money, backer board costs money. How do you get to know what those things cost? Go study. There's a big store over there. I swear to God to you guys, I want to know my price. Ask me anything in that store, what it costs. Any light fixture, point it, I'll say $49.97, $139, $119 for that light, and he sees me do this. That's $29.97. That rack, you got to get the pole to hang, a ceiling fan, the pole, $29.97. At Lowe's, $28.97 at Home Depot. True story. I know my craft, and trust me, man. I study this stuff. I take pictures. I'm anal about this stuff. So, how do you determine what things cost? Go shopping. Go shopping at different places like Super Home, Southeastern, like I mentioned. There's a lot of like mom and pop shops that do some clearance stuff, some nice tile. I get a lot of my tile at Southeastern. They have a bunch of it. They just get truckfuls of this stuff. I get it sometimes for 99 cents a square foot. 99 cents a square foot. Nice stuff. 12 by 24. 12 by 24 tile is what's in right now. Nobody likes 12 by 12s. 18 by 18s are gone. 16 by 16. No one likes that. I do the 12 by 24. That's what's big. Use a lot of glass inlays when you do that to break it up, give it a custom feel. When you do a custom look like that, don't let them charge you more because it doesn't cost you any more to do it, okay? So that's that. Now, let's get to the bathrooms. I don't look at a bathroom and go, okay, I need a commode, I need a vanity, I need a mirror, I need a light, I need a new tub, I need tile here. Here's how I do. I look at a bathroom and say, $4,500. So if it has 2 baths, $45, $9,000. Kitchen, $12,000. Now look how I'm building my budgets. See? So I walk in, I need a new door, $300, $200 to buy it, $100 to put it in. Right? If I want to put a new sliding door or French door, you go to Lowe's. At Lowe's, they have a nice framed out French door, $397.97. Right at that store, you can go and verify after it. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, at Southeastern Salvage or at Super Home Surplus, $300. And I get a better deal there because I'm their number one customer. Same thing with Home Depot. I'm their number one customer. So I get kickbacks. I go through the bid room. I get free gas. I get free store cards. They give me store cards. So the more you spend, I got one on me right here. This is a store card. They send me one of these every quarter, and there's sometimes $800, $900. It's a kickback. So you want to document what you buy. How do you document? At Home Depot, or at Lowe's, they have a pro desk. And look for it, pro desk. And you want to buy stuff and bring it to the pro desk. For when you first start out, I don't have this, but when you first start out, you have to buy more than $2,500 for them to send it through the pro desk. And sometimes you can save up to 18 to 20% on those versions. So how would you like to save 18 to 20%? Now, when I went to Super Home Surplus the first time, I was their first customer the day they opened. I swear to God, I'm not lying to you. I went into that store and I said, who owns this place? One of the people were like, oh, well, we don't, like, the owner's not here. I'm like, who do I talk to get a better deal? I'm not embarrassed to do it. And I've built such a relationship. And by the way, he's a manager there. His name's Tom. But he also was a part owner, and now he's a big owner. And this is 9 years later. He believed in the company. He worked hard, and they brought him in as an owner. And he gave me deals that were unbelievable. And he actually is a very I could pinpoint one of the big reasons why we become successful early in the days where no one was buying is because I was able to get those great prices on the material. And I negotiated with him. And I said, if you're loyal to me, and I'm going to talk about loyalty, if you're loyal to me, I will never let someone win me over on you over price. And trust me, I can tell you, 3 to 4 cabinet places, and they were good, a little bit better deals than they were doing because that's all they sold was cabinets. And I never left that guy because I gave him my word. I know some of you guys might not do that because the bottom line is the bottom line. I get it. But loyalty means everything to me. And I'm loyal to my guys. I'm loyal to when I teach. I'm loyal to the words that I'm giving you to write down on the numbers and everything. Loyalty is everything in this business. And, you know, when I'm doing a deal with a wholesaler, and a lot of times I will close. This is God's honest truth. I will close and give them the money outside of closing so that they make more money and they don't get trapped up paying for closing costs. I do that all the time. Even though I have to pay the tax on it, I don't care. I'll do it. I want that guy to be successful, and more importantly,
on that because I got a property that's.
Okay, I will do it. But I just want you guys to know that if you have a deal and you got a deal and you can't get the money or whatever, and you come to me, you can rest assured that when we build a deal and I say, okay, I'll give you $5,000 more than you got it for, you could be honest and tell me what you bought it for because I'm not going to change my price on it. I'll give you a quick example. I bought a house in Hermitage. I talked to the lady. I told my wholesaler that brought me the deal. He didn't even have it under contract. He brought me there so he could learn off of me. I went there and I said, just let me do the talking and you come here. I don't care if you videotape it, record me, let me do the talking. I spent 35 minutes with the lady. She was asking $180 for it. We ended up getting it for $142 just because of what I was telling her. But I did it in a way that any one of you guys that would be with me was from the heart and the love, and I never disrespected her house. And I promise you, we sold a house for $255. I'm making $60,000 on that house, and that's a fact. And guess what? I told my wholesaler. I told him. I said, I will give you $7,000. Okay, that's what we did. $7,000, and I paid him outside of closing. So we sold it for the $142. Okay, I mean we bought it. Sorry, for the $142. I gave him $140, and he made the $7,000 outside of closing. We closed it at $142. I gave him the $7,000. So now I'm $149. I put $30 into it, and we sold it for $255. Worked out the numbers. No, and by the way, no closing costs and one side of real estate fees, and I only pay 2%. So think about that. Now, guess what? When I first did my numbers, I didn't think I was going to sell it for $255. I'm going to be honest. I did my numbers at $239.9. Guess what I'm doing when we close the deal, Johnny? Guess what I'm doing? I'm going to put $5,000 in an envelope, and I'm going to walk it to this guy, and I'm going to give it to him for free. I'm going to take him out to dinner, and I'm going to give him $5,000 extra because I sold that house for more than I thought. Why am I doing that? Why? I didn't have to. He didn't ask me. He didn't ask me. He was happy with the 7. Want to know why? Because I love him. Because he's out there grinding every day, and he brings me the deals. So, am I doing something nice for something in return? Hell no, I don't do that. I'm not here because I want something in return. I don't want nothing in return. But because I could bless him, he will bless me. That's how it works. That's how this business works. That's how green works. That's how green is. Green's not asking for 25 grand for coaching, 30 grand. Trust me, everything you're learning here today, you would learn for $25,000 to $30,000. And you pay me here today? Am I getting paid? You know how I get paid?
I give you a shirt.
Relationships. Anyway, that's all I got. Oh, that's good. I got it. I'm happy with the shirt. But more importantly, I'm happy that I could share this with you guys. And more importantly, one day, I promise you, I will do business with each and every one of you guys. I promise you. If you hang in there and you do it, we will do business. And I am very easy to do business with because I love to give. That's how I met him. He brought me a deal. Real quick, sorry. This is important. He brought me a deal. I didn't know him. He came to a closing because we were having problems with a closing, and his realtor friend wanted to bring him so that he could help with this situation that we're going in. I'm not going to go into that because that's a long story. But he said, hey, man, I heard you buy a house, and I heard that you're a really good guy. And I said, man, I love you, man. Come here, give me a hug. You know, I just met the guy. I said, I love you, man. I said, thanks for saying I'm a good guy. Who told you I'm a good guy? You know? And he goes, everybody, man. Everybody at Acton knows you, and they say you're a good guy. You're honest and this and that. And he goes, well, I got a house. It's in Franklin. And it got flooded in May 10th. May 10th flood. And it was right at that time frame. And so I said, well, what are you doing right now? And he goes, nothing. You want to go see it? I'm like, yeah, let's go. And we hit it off. He's Romanian. I'm Macedonian and Italian. We're European. We speak the language. His mom, when he started telling me stories about his mom, it's my mom. Good and bad. They're the same. His mom and my mom should have been sisters. So we're hitting it off. But we go to this house, and I look at it, and I do my numbers. And I tell him, Manny, I will give you $97,000 for this house. And by the way, mind you, it got flooded and all that. These are my numbers. I know what I could sell it for. I know what I could fix it for. It's in a flood zone. I usually don't buy in a flood zone. But seeing that I could get it at this LTV in the whole 9 yards, and I put my buffers in there, and I come up with a $97,000. But he looks at me and goes, well, I didn't really get it yet. Because he was lying. He was lying. And now I know he was lying. I didn't know he was lying. But I want to tell you what happened. When we talked after that, and we went and had lunch and stuff, we talked about other things other than the deal. And he called me. He goes, man, I couldn't sleep all night when I met you, man. You're in my mind, almost like you were a girl or something. Like you were in my mind. He was like, dude, man, your heart and soul, and you're just everything. And I said, me too, man, about you. Like I was like, dude, I love you, man. All right. He goes, man, I gotta talk to you. So we met at the Starbucks on near Edmondson Pike. You know that one near Brentwood. And he goes, man, He goes, I feel bad, and I
wanted to save some money. I just got fucked by my head.
Yeah, so anyway, he's like, I kind of want to close this outside of closing, and you told me you would do it. Like I just told you the story how I do it and give the money on the outside of closing, so he got the full amount. And he goes, but man, I know how investors are when they find out what I got it for. And I said, whoa, time out. Time out. I said, buddy, I gave you my word. I will pay 97 grand. I said, buddy, I don't care if you got this house for 70. And he's just staring at me. And then he goes, and I said, and you make 27 grand doing nothing on me. He goes, I said, I don't care if you got it for 60. He goes, So I'm like, man, now I'm starting to look at this guy. I'm like, who is this guy, right? True story. And then I look at him. I said, you know what, bro? I don't care if you got this house for $1, but I will give you 97 grand. I don't care. And he goes, well, I got it for 42 grand. And I said, get me the bracelets. I'm taking you to jail because it was that good of a deal. But I saw the talent. But more importantly, I kept my word, and we did the deal, and we partnered up, and now we're like brothers. I mean, he lives on my street. Okay? We're like kids. Can he come out and play? Yeah. That kind of thing. But talking about that is, think about where that story, it is for me and Brandon. It is for me and Tom. It's for me and you. It's for me and you. It doesn't matter. Me and Steve. The first deal I did with Steve, I bought it for 30 G's. Remember that one?
Yeah.
And it was in bad shape. And
now today, if you were renting that property, it'd be
$300,000.
Yeah,
I sold it for $140 at that time. This was in 2008.
Yeah.
Well,
so anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
all right. Well, last time I was at Manning's house, he said you live on his street.
I was there for
Mark, why you gotta
We knocked on the guy's door and got his house attacked.
throw grenades in the room?
And then I love
the tweet. Listen, we're way over. Steve, why don't you finish this?
That means it was good. That means it was good.
Well,
So first of all, Paul, thank you once again. Paul is actually a member of Green, and
Yes.
I did offer to pay Paul as one of our trainers.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm not taking it because I see the vision of what you guys are doing.
This is true.
So, and may I ask if you take someone out for a week, what you do charge if you were to
Yeah, I actually coach a one-on-one, and I charge $59.95, and you hang out with me the whole week. And by the way, it never stops at the week because you have my phone number. Ask Kazanofski to give you his phone number. He never will. But and I'm not trying to sell that because I think you can learn what I teach one-on-one with Green over and over and over again. Actually, there's so much more information with Green, but if you want that one-on-one where you can actually have access to me daily, more intense, and go over all this stuff, and you just live my life. You sit in my car and we go from my deals to this, my construction zones and all of that. So anyway, that's what
and it really is worth it because I can promise you some of these things, at least in your first deal, there's some common sense things that you just, I say common sense, it's really not the common sense unless you've experienced it. Yeah, and there's some people in here who have experienced it several times, and it will come up and bite you. But I'd like to welcome, we got some new faces. Jeff, Tom, nice to see you guys. Stephanie's back. Kelly, which I've known Kelly for a while. Machine Gun Kelly.
She sounded like a song for a second. Bang, 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 Stephanie's back.
Jeff is going to be working as basically running our Murfreesboro Investor Club. He's Jeremy Tabor's half brother.
Okay.
Jeremy's one of our trainers. So along with Paul, on the brokerage side, we have one of our trainers who makes over $1 million a year selling real estate. So not only do we focus on real estate investors, we do have a special place for agents also. And that trainer is on twice a month. And then Paul comes on and trains once a week with us.
Yeah.
And we have other trainers also that are doing coaching in a group format. Michelle Morris on weekly. Brandon is training social media. And so you get all of this stuff for $99 a month. That's our business proposition. What you have here tonight is free because we all have to build our network. Okay? We all want to buy property. People that come here are the people that are smart enough to be serious about their business. So if you want to be lazy, you want to go home, watch TV, you're too tired, you're bored, whatever, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you just don't want to do anything. But if you're really serious about your business, you're going to come find some time to network with people who are like-minded. Mm-hmm. You're going to do some mastermind sessions. You're going to get online. You're going to do some training. And we're serious about this business, and it's about to take off. I know some of you guys have been here for a little while and seen that we really haven't focused on sales because we're very concerned with value. I love that. I've always been 100% committed to making sure that I have no question that I'm delivering the value per month that people, I am 100% convinced of that now. You can't get in real estate what we can give you for this price. And the beauty of it is, instead of, just like Paul said, instead of trying to charge people thousands of dollars, which is the normal business model, we want to reach thousands of people. So we're going to use technology to change the paradigm. So instead of charging 100 people $10,000, cramming them in a room and trying to take all their money, we're going to go out and reach 10,000 people, get them online, train with them live, be interactive, and provide a network marketing platform where they can actually get paid. We create a scale in this that allows us to do that and deliver more for less.
You created a more possible dream for the real estate world.
Sure.
Well, not everybody has 25, 30 grand.
No.
If someone,
and then you still got to start.
and if you actually choose to work this a little bit as a business, let's say you're starting out in real estate and you really want to make some side money and you go ahead and push it hard, then, yeah, maybe you'll get a few $100s a month that you can put into your first investment.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But it's mainly, even the people that join, in my mind, because it's so, I don't want to say cheap, because money is money, but it's so inexpensive for what you get out of it, that it's more out of the field to tell other people, and even if you get $100.
That's the beauty, in my opinion, of what we're offering as a business, is the professional connections you make are coming into a format not like other network marketing companies. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're coming in here to learn about making ourselves better investors,
like this
about financial independence. We're learning. You're literally, in fact, we even registered the website. We're going to have a ClickFunnels coming out soon. Mentor with Millionaires. You're mentoring with millionaires. You can't do that anywhere else for this price. So you have that ability to do that with our company. Normally what we do, we always, we appreciate Paul when he does talk. He's definitely passionate, energetic, very entertaining. Definitely, we will be seeing him on TV one day, and hopefully that will make a green even bigger. But these meetings are always free and open to the public. I encourage you guys, if you want to sign up. Manny, I think we're going to go ahead and get you signed up tonight. And Jeff, I will have you signed up with Jeremy. I think we're going to go inside with you. But I can sign you if you guys want to sign up. If you want me to talk, I know you want me to talk to your father. Get your spot in the downline. However you want to do it, let me know. But the online component of this is where, as we mentioned before, we save and archive all of these meetings. So the members actually get access to the archive material. It's a building process. We've been in this about 4 or 5 months now. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the next thing you know, in 2 or 3 years, we'll have a full-blown, amazing library of archive material with.
If you go on the website, under network groups, there's archives, and we must have 30 of these meetings with 30 unbelievable speakers. that are on there. It's better to be here live. You know, it's a little
More
lower quality on the screen there, but it's still very good
The
stuff.
information is there, absolutely.
Next week,
And we learn too, the teachers. I learned so much, man.
Well, that's, yeah.
But I engage though. You have to engage.
That's what I try to do. I'm very proactive with questions.
Yeah.
Sometimes a little forceful, but I bounce questions intentionally to find out, you know, how, not only just what someone knows, but how they think. So it's telling me more about the people involved in the transactions, along with just their pure knowledge. There's always someone that knows more than I do about a particular subject. People have their expertise, and really they have their desires, their emotions. Their
Michelle
wants.
Moore at 12 o'clock today was just fabulous.
Yeah, and I had to
And
go. I
Michelle
had to
Moore, you
meet.
know, she's real estate radio here in Nashville. It's just unbelievable.
Michelle has a well-recognized place in the women's community because she's overcome a lot of adversity and has a great voice and great coach that deals with a lot of those issues that women in business deal with, and she's really, really good.
Yeah.
So highly recommend getting on to see her.
Well, next week we're going to, Blake's going to do a little, yeah. Next week, Blake's going to do we're going to talk more about the compensation plan. Another roundtable talking.
And we will keep it. Normally, I have everyone kicked out of here by 8. We let Paul go because we enjoy.
Forget normal.
But
There's nothing normal.
We go to
about
7:30,
this
6:30 to 7:30, and then we let everyone. We let everyone. So you guys are welcome to stay and mingle until 8:30 this evening. And if you want to trade business cards, Manny, I'll go ahead and get you signed up. Jeff, you can watch me sign Manny up. I'll show you how we do this.
One thing, Steve.
Yes, Andrea.
Since I've got Paul right there. Hey, Paul, how about air conditioning tomorrow?
Air conditioning, no problem. We could go on and on.
You said you could. I'm gonna take you up on it.
Okay, no problem. That's a great subject, and there's so many different price ranges, and we'll talk about tonnage and how to determine what ton and per square foot and all of that stuff. So, and by the way, this is God's honest truth. And then Andrea, you got my back on this. But they'll tell me a subject, and I don't research it, or I go on what I know and what I've done. I always say,
and I can tell you, it's amazing. It really is. It's a highlight of my week.
But it's better to learn. A wise man learns from other people's mistakes. Smart man learns from his own mistakes. But a wise man learns from other people's mistakes. Thank you, Andrea. That's a good subject.
See you guys.
I got some great stuff.
I'm out.